wonderful music this morning. I want to welcome you if you're here. Anyone here for the first time today, never been here before? Oh my goodness. So you've come to a center where we honor all who are on their spiritual pathway, who practice their beliefs and faith and love. I don't know, do you do hugs and handshakes? Hug somebody or handshake somebody and say hello. Small group like this, you can hug everybody and handshake everybody. It's so wonderful. I suspect that, like my children and their dad, they're out doing something their dad wanted to do. You know, they're very, I think typically Father's Day is the lowest attended Sunday in the whole entire year because dads are doing something, golfing, going to the concourse, whatever they do. They can do whatever they want. It's their day. So our call to service is called Lighting the Flames of Faith, and we perform this ceremony to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all peoples, all faiths, all sentient beings come from that one great universal presence, which we call Spirit. Fundamental to this truth is the unifying nature of all religious thought and experience, which we honor here today. As Reverend Elizabeth lights the first candle, it is for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. The second candle we light for the shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous peoples, the way of primal spirituality. The third candle we light for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. The fourth candle we light for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. The fifth candle we light for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. We light the sixth candle for all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. We light the seventh candle for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of submission to the will of God as the highest calling. We light the eighth candle for the universalistic religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and peace. We light the ninth candle for all forms of new thought, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. We light the 10th candle for all those who are yet unaware of the power and presence of Spirit in their lives and for the space that we are holding for them at this center. And as Reverend Elizabeth lights the healing candle, please put silently into the light the names of anyone you wish to have experience the healing flame of God's eternal love.
In this moment, in this place, I remember who I am, letting fear and worry fall away from me. I open my eyes and I see there is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only
join me in consciousness, please, this morning, as I speak my word in the first person for each and every person here. So I declare there's one mind, one divine mind, and I'm a center in that divine mind, a point of God, conscious life, truth, and action. And my affairs are divinely guided into right action, and everything I do, say, or think is stimulated by the truth and power of my unity with that one mind. And I choose to live consciously. I step beyond seeing restrictions, and I step into the crucible of life to create my own best life, a creative, loving, prosperous, and radiantly healthy life. I detach from old patterns of lack, of limitation, of apathy, workaholism, negative thinking. I release any negative patterns. I reformulate my thinking into manifesting my greatest potential. And I heal any limiting memories from the past. I move into an amazing experience of life here and now. And I gratefully receive and give thanks for this opportunity to live consciously and more. I release my word into the law, knowing it returns to me multiplied abundantly. And together we say, so it is. So good morning. I'm Reverend Elizabeth Schneider. Today is Father's Day. So I thought, I'm going to ask two friends that I know, two fathers, what do they like best about being a father? And they both said basically the same thing. The children themselves, these with their unique talents and personalities, the treasures that they are. And to have created these beautiful new human beings with their own unique personalities and talents, that is a fantastic gift in itself. So I asked the two men then what was their biggest concern about being a father. And again, the answers were similar. They want their children to thrive. They know that the world can be challenging and navigating it can be also challenging. And so they want their children to be strong emotionally, physically, mentally, and in every way. So they are teachers. And even when they're not specifically teaching, they're still teachers. They teach by example, by the risks they take, by the love, the patience, the caring, the support that they give their children. And of course, not all fathers are like that, and not everyone has happy memories of their fathers, or maybe no memories if they had an absent father. But when I think back on my own childhood, I was blessed in that I had two very supportive parents, each in their very own way. And my mother was the communicator. She was the family switchboard. And we would have long conversations by the kitchen table. And my father, being Swedish, he was very stoic. And he never said, you're important or I love you. But he was always there. He just was, he supported us in that traditional way of the times. And that was back in the 40s, 50s. He could be counted on. So one of my memories comes from an incident where I was almost 16, so it was time to get a driver's license. So we drove a bit around this small West Virginia town that we lived in, and then we went down to the country club where he was a charter member. And we drove onto the grass, and he said, now you drive between those two trees. And that's what I did. And then I said, well, I need to learn how to park. He says, well, you don't need to learn how to park. You just drive it into a parking garage and they'll do it for you. So I never did learn to park from him. So being the manager of a toy factory, which was the largest employer in that area, he was a big frog in a small pond. So when it came time for my driver's test, a state trooper came up to the house. And we drove around a bit, and then I pulled up in front of the house, and voila, I passed my driver's test. Now, years later, when I really wanted to be able to drive in Seattle and park, I did take driver's ed. Now, for 6 summers, I worked in this Mark's toy factory. I was in the shipping department. I did typing, and I did filing. And once, having fun with a coworker, I wrote a satirical poem about working there. And although the poem is now lost in the dustbin of history, I remember phrases such as, I sold my fingers into slavery, and don't accuse Marx of knavery. And it went on from there. And then someone in the office kind of got hold of the poem, copied it, and tried to send it to the New York office to embarrass my father. Well, when my father came home from work, he had the poem in his hand. And it was caught in the mailroom before they had a chance to send it. And he simply looked at me kind of accusingly. And I said, well, how'd you know it was me? How'd you know it was mine? He said, well, because no one else had that vocabulary. And that was all he said about it. So one other memory came to me. He and my mother visited us in California 6 months before he died. And on the way out of the home, to go to the airport, he turned around and he shook my hand and he said, it was nice knowing you. And that was his unique way of saying, I love you. So here's a poem by an anonymous author about a father's love. A father is respected because he gives his children leadership, appreciated because he gives his children care, valued because he gives his children time, and loved because he gives his children the one thing they treasure most, himself. And so it is.
Come out of the sadness wherever you've been. Come broken hearted, let the rescue begin. And come find your mercy, the dreamer come kneel. The earth has no sorrow that heaven can't heal. Lay down your burdens, lay down your shame. All who are broken, lift up your face. Wanderer, come home, you're not too far. Lay down your hurt, lay down your heart, and come as you are. Come as you are. There's hope for the hopeless and all who have strayed. Come sit at the table and come taste the grace. There's rest in the weary and all who endure. The earth has no sorrow that heaven can't cure. Lay down your burdens, lay down your shame. All who are broken, lift up your face. Wanderer, come home, you're not too far. Lay down your hurt, lay down your heart, and come as you are. earth has no sorrow that heaven can't heal. The earth has no sorrow that heaven can't heal. Lay down your burden, lay down your shame. All who are broken, lift up your face. Wanderer, come home. You're not too far. Lay down your hurt, lay down your heart, and come as you are. Come as you are. Fall in His arms, just as you are. Come as you are. Come as you are. Come as you are. Thank you.
That was pretty, right? What a beautiful song. Thank you for that. That was wonderful. Earth has no sorrow that heaven can't heal, I think.
Yes.
So I'm declaring that this right here is heaven, folks. Right here, we are living heaven on earth. Happy Father's Day to those who that applies to. And it may be some of you ladies out there. Some of us have double duty. I'm here to highlight some of the announcements. And first of all, I want to say that you do not want to miss Friday night. We have a wonderful performance by one of our congregants. There's a slide for it somewhere. Dr. Danae Jordan is going to be presenting a one-woman show about the various aspects of her ego, and it's going to be a kick. So it's this Friday at 7 o'clock. There's a $20 suggested donation, and all the money that is raised comes directly to the church. So that's going to be a wonderful, wonderful evening. Don't miss it. Seriously, you'll be sorry if you miss it. I also want to invite you to come participate in Dr. Maureen's financial class this summer, beginning on July 5th with an orientation to the class and continuing July 12th through August 30th at 7 p.m. Is that Thursday nights or Wednesday nights? And that's going to be a wonderful, wonderful experience. Awaken your financial and personal fulfillment. So you don't want to miss that either. I'm telling you, we got some great stuff here, including Abraham Hicks study group. It's been changed to the third Sunday of the month, which happens to be today. So if you're into Abraham Hicks, please come today at 2 o'clock here in the sanctuary. And Chloe asked if she could make a very brief announcement. Come on up, Chloe.
I'm going to do a fundraiser at my drama class starting July 1st from 2:30. And I've been acting since I was 13. And is about 20 tickets at the door if you want to come and support. That'd be awesome. And another great news, I'm official board member and the board of directors of my day program, and want to say happy Father's Day to all those dads out there.
So let me just remind you, if I may, that inside your program is a list of all the activities that take place here on a monthly basis. We've got wonderful support groups and healing support groups and drum circles and meditation groups and visioning groups, and it's just a wonderful opportunity for you to come get to know some of us. And also that after service, if you would like prayer for an area in your life that you feel might need some healing, or some magnifying. Maybe we can magnify the good for you. The practitioners will be sitting in the back of the room for you to be at your service. So thank you.
So now if you'll stand, we'll do our Declaration of Principles. We believe in one universal spirit, manifesting through all, natural and incarnated in us. We believe the universal spirit is personal too and reveals itself through everyone who recognizes its presence. We believe our faith operates upon a law of mind, which automatically manifests in our experience according to that faith. We believe in the unity of all life and the immortality of the individual and forever expanding. We believe in the universal goodness, the eternal loving kindness, and givingness of all.
Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in to the deepest kind of love, to the sweetest kind of life. Get ready, my soul. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in to the deepest kind of love, to the sweetest kind of life. Get ready, get ready, my soul. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in to the deepest kind of love, to the sweetest kind of life. Get ready, my soul.
Our guest speaker, Reverend Maureen Hoyt, and she used to be the pastor here, and so it's just such a wonderful thing to have her here. So
Thank
welcome,
you.
Reverend Maureen.
Thank you, Elizabeth. So Ken Francis really messes with me. Oh. It's like, okay, can I sing like that? No, I can't. I remember when I was first here, they paid me not to sing. I could tell when I was in trouble because my son's ears would turn red. So I want to say welcome to everybody. I noticed that some of you come for the 10:45 service. And it seems to be typical of Centers for Spiritual Living. I kid you not. It's just the way it is. I want to do my usual thing that I do on Father's Day. I say Happy Father's Day to anyone who is a father, and to anyone who had a father. So you're all included in that. You're totally included. My microphone is, I'm doing something here. I'm adjusting a little bit. Anyway, I want to welcome also anyone on the live stream this morning. You are a welcome part of this spiritual community, as are the people who are in the seats this morning. I'm the last minute substitute for Reverend Mike this morning. He had an opportunity, I guess Michael sent him a ticket to go up to Portland to see his son graduate and get his through his ministers. Oh, that's prophetic. Yes, master's program, through the master's program he's in. And so Mike called me at the last minute and said, would you fill in? And guess what? No brainer. I'm here. I have information for you today that will change your life. And what I know about that is that if you're willing to listen carefully and kind of reframe the way you look at things, you're going to hear something that maybe you haven't quite heard in the same way before. As Ernest Holmes said, the activity of God heals my life, and the activity of God heals your life. The activity of God heals every living thing. And the masculine face of God, Mike's talk title was The Father Within, and mine is The Masculine Face of God. How could that be so apropos? But it just happens to work out that way. The masculine face of God is the choosing part in the creative process. It's where the ideas take form. The feminine face of God is the creative medium through which every one of these ideas comes to fruition in our lives. It's sort of like a horse and carriage. Masculine, feminine, goes together like a horse and carriage, and you can't have one without the other, for those of you who are old enough to know the song. So someone once said that if we carry a light into a darkened room, the darkness is dissipated without any effort on our part. The light in the darkened room is the idea that may be ready to take form right here by someone or someones in this congregation today. A person who has a deep consciousness of life is also a light that dissipates the darkness. You know, people go out into the world and they perform just on a daily basis the wonder of who they are. And they're attractive people. They're incredibly attractive people. Those are the people that we want to be around because their light just goes out, and it's wonderful to be around them. For me, growing up, my dad was this kind of light. He was one of the smartest people I know, and yet he never went beyond a 6th grade education. He went to a steam engineering school after he graduated from 6th grade. But something that I know about him is that he never stopped learning. He never stopped learning. He read voraciously, and I know that's where I get it. Something invisible but all penetrating flows through certain people, and every look and every gesture speaks volumes, as I said, about that person's spiritual evolution. That was my dad. We feel better by being in the presence of these people. And without even realizing what's happening, healing is taking place. You know, when we're around people who are positive and life-affirming, you know, there's something that gets healed in us. There are a couple of you in this room who make me feel that way. And I'll let you guess who you are. So you might figure out that everyone in this room is probably someone who makes me feel like that. Ernest Holmes said, the divine spirit is not a mythical, abstract being living somewhere above the earth. God is a divine presence revealing itself to everyone who believes. To everyone who believes. These are the definitive words. Years ago, Ernest Holmes used to speak every Sunday at the Wilshire Ebell Theater, just off of Wilshire Boulevard in Los Angeles. And he would speak every Sunday. The place was packed. People would be standing outside waiting until somebody left so they could go in. And we, years later, went to hear Marianne Williamson down there at the Wilshire Ebell Theater. He said he conveyed the same message every Sunday. God is all there is. That was the message that he conveyed. And I use the power of God in a constructive way when I use the creative process in my life consciously. And so can everyone here. I understand God works through me because I know that God is the God of life, of everyone's life, and everything that lives. God is the animating force in every one of us, and everything and anyone who believes in God from that perspective can use the force in the same way. Jesus, the master teacher, and one of the best examples of the masculine face of God, taught us that the knowledge of truth makes us free because it's all about choice. It does. We learn very quickly in this teaching that we have freedom of choice. We can choose and choose again. You know, we're not stuck in any one place too long. We can choose again. Today, I can choose to be happy, or I can choose to be sad. Now, you might think that's odd, but some of us do choose to be sad periodically because we're affected by external influences, and we think that they are the cause of our unhappiness or our sadness. But that's not entirely true. There is nothing in the effect of life that can make me happy or make me sad. It is my perception of the effects or what I believe about what's happening that might contribute to my happiness or my sadness. You don't make me feel happy or sad, although sometimes, okay, never, I won't even go there. I won't even go there. Oh. When I'm aware of incongruent behavior or incongruent choices that people around me are making, I do sometimes feel sad. I do. I would go back to my roots and say, I wish they would be different. But guess what? I'm not, the marquee isn't the world according to Maureen Hoyt, and neither is it for anyone else here. It's not the particular negative experiences we have, or perhaps in the past, that have destroyed our happiness, but rather our emotional reaction to those experiences carried in the reservoir of our memory. What is in the reservoir of your memory that keeps you from being all that you can be? And I jokingly say, without having to join the army. Remember that commercial years ago? Be all you can be and join the army. What error beliefs have kept you from being successful? What error beliefs? We are going to explore some of those in detail in the Energy of Money class coming up next month. Many people, Ernest Holmes said, suffer complete defeat without ever having been defeated. Others succumb the first time that anything goes wrong. I mean, we all know people like that. Some of them are members of our family. Most invariably, our negative reactions to life, our unhappiness, and perhaps our illnesses are based on unhappy experiences that are buried alive in our memory. Yipes, this is where you should have got a silver bullet at the door to bite on when I'm talking. I have information today that will change your life. Yesterday can have no reality to us other than our reaction to it. And so it is the beginnings of yesterday and the endings of tomorrow that mean nothing. Mean nothing. They're only for information at this point in time. When we have the happenings of yesterday that are carried into today, making us happy or sad, so that the reactions of today are prophetic for what might be experienced tomorrow, it's utter madness when you think about it. It's just madness. We get our knickers in a knot over stuff that happened years ago that's filtered through a perception that is maybe 10 years old, or 12 years old, or 20 years old, or whatever. You know, let's shift that today with the consciousness we have at our current age. I never thought I'd be this old. You know, I really didn't. And so I've logged a lot of thoughts through the years. And if I allowed those thoughts to control my life today, I wouldn't be standing up here in front of you. I'd be doing something else. We can stop this madness right now by affirming that yesterday is gone, tomorrow has not yet arrived, and we live in the eternal present of everlasting good, as Ernest Holmes called it. There are so many people seeking counsel these days, trying to reconcile their feelings about what's going on in the world. So many things happened this week, and I could talk about a lot of them here from the pulpit and try to find a relationship to the science of mind, but I think everyone here knows that it's how we look at things that causes the problem for us most of the time. So I think I've maintained my spiritual equilibrium in spite of what's going on out there. And then a visit from a friend late in the day on Thursday brought my own worthiness crashing down. This person felt it incumbent upon her to tell me how she really feels about me. So I had this moment where, have you ever had the moment where somebody's talking and you're watching their lips move and you can't hear a thing that they're saying? You know, there's some kind of a defense mechanism we have in us for that kind of person. Husbands seem to be really good at that. Oh, my kid's dad is a master. I mean, he's masterful at it. So I did what any normal person would do after having had this experience. I dragged out a 3 Kleenex movie that I so enjoy called The Bucket List. Is there anyone here who hasn't seen The Bucket List? Oh, well then, I'll tell you what. Get it, find it on Netflix or somewhere, and do yourself a favor and watch it. I'll just go through a little bit, just for you, because you're here. Jack Nicholson and Morgan Freeman are the actors playing the 2 characters in the movie, and they both end up in this hospital together. They're from opposite ends of life. Jack Nicholson is a very wealthy, really grumpy old man, and he's been estranged from his daughter for many years. And Morgan Freeman's character, Carter, is a family man who has, he's been a mechanic his whole life, and he put his children through college. Even though he never went to college, he made sure that his children went to college. And he raised his family, he sent them off, and he's incredibly well read. I like him so much because he reminds me of my dad. And he's an authority on everything. And like I am. I do that. I inherited that too. I know everything. I would think I do anyway. And he's like a walking encyclopedia. As misery loves company, these 2 guys end up in the same hospital room together and grudgingly become friends. One day, Edward, the Nicholson character, notices Carter writing on this piece of paper. And writing. He folds the paper up very carefully and kind of puts it aside. And he asks him what he's writing, and Carter won't tell him. Later in the day, Carter is visited by the doctor with a really dire prognosis that he only has about 3 months to live. So he crumples the paper up and he throws it toward the wastebasket. Turning his back on Edward, not wanting to talk, he gives him the silent treatment. After Carter falls asleep, Edward picks up the piece of crumpled paper and discovers that it's a list of what Carter wants to do before he kicks the bucket. Edward decides to embellish the list with the things that he wants to do, and he convinces Carter to come with him on this quest to complete this bucket list. And against doctor's orders, they check themselves out of the hospital, and off they go, much to the chagrin and dismay of Carter's wife. As they master each item on the list, and they cross it off, they choose another and another and another, and so on. And at one point, I think it's almost toward the end of the movie, that they're sitting on top of a pyramid in Egypt, relishing the majesty of what they're seeing. And Carter tells Edward of an ancient Egyptian belief wherein if a person could answer 2 questions satisfactorily, they would be assured of getting into paradise. The first question is, have you found your joy in life? And the second question is, has your life brought joy to anyone else? Have you found joy in your life? And has your life brought joy to anyone else? That's the question for today. Paradise to me is kind of like the promise of happiness. It's elusive. It's an optimistic thing, and in order for me to be able to answer yes to those two questions, I have to invest in myself. That's what this whole talk is about today, is investing in ourselves. I have to be in love with myself in order to bring joy to other people in this world. And that's what I get from some of you. You're in love with yourself, and that's a beautiful thing. I also have to know that paradise is not some place that we aspire to, like heaven. It's right here, right now, on this plane of consciousness, if that's what I choose. I live in paradise. I do. I have the idyllic life now. And I've discovered over the years of being me is that it is so metabolically expensive to continue in the unhappiness, frustration, and judgment. When we suffer emotionally, we suffer physically. You know, it takes its toll on us. It's hard work to be angry. It's hard work to be ticked off. You know, because it's all internalized, isn't it? When we suffer emotionally, we suffer physically. And we don't live life. We merely exist. How much easier it is on awakening each day to feel good. How much easier is it to say when someone else asks how we are, I'm fine, and really mean it, instead of giving them a litany of your aches and pains. You know, we know people who do that. You know, it used to be years ago, Ernest Holmes called it organ talk. You know, people talk about their bodily functions. Today I'm going to tell you something that's going to change your life. You can use the power of good in all things in your life. Have you tried God lately? Have you tried God lately? Are there things you wanted to do but haven't for myriad and sundry reasons? You know, usually it's financial. Since many of the other methods have failed for some of us, wouldn't it behoove us to enlist the power of God and make use of it? Or better yet, let God use us. You know, because that's really what we're here to do, is to be used by God. You know, each one of you here is the demonstration of God, that God so loved itself that it needed form to express and created every one of you. You think Ken could sing like that and play the piano like that overnight? You know, some of us want to take a magic pill. And my favorite turn of phrase is that many of us want to be transformed, but we don't want to be inconvenienced. You know, you can laugh, but it's true. So for all those who might be here for the first time today, did you come looking for a new theory of God when you walked in the door? I doubt it. If you're sitting here like I am today, all those years ago when I came to the Science of Mind, 1974, I came to the teaching looking for someone to tell me I was all right. I did. And as a matter of course, I learned how to use the power of God. I didn't really believe that the power existed and could operate in my life, but I knew intrinsically that there had to be something more, something better, something different than what I grew up with. My dad always told me to trust in God. My Catholic God could only be known through an intercessor, a priest or a nun. You know, I couldn't have a direct relationship with God. That was blasphemy as far as they were concerned. Things have changed quite a bit in the last little bit. One of my favorite priests was a Franciscan priest, Father Joe Sherbo. And we would have metaphysical talks for hours and hours on end. That everything seems to be coming together more and more. I didn't realize that the divine presence was a living and dynamic reality, as Emma Curtis Hopkins said. All I wanted when I came to this teaching was not to be unhappy. I couldn't even conceive of being happy. I just wanted not to be unhappy. You know, that was the first step in my evolution. And you know, it took about 5 years of studying and 5 more years of studying before I actually found that the possibility of relief was not only a possibility, but a probability. And that this teaching brought that to me. My life was serious business. I'd spent many years creating this misery and mastering it, in fact, and telling the story over and over again ad nauseum. And even I became bored with it. So once I realized that there was always someone else who had a more horrendous life than I did, I didn't want to play the we compare war stories game anymore. Life began to change in profound and wonderful ways. As Anne Lamott said in her newest TED Talk, if you haven't watched it, the acronym for God is Gift of Desperation. G-O-D, Gift of Desperation. She said a friend of hers said that by the end of his drunken life, he was deteriorating faster than he could lower his standards. Oh, I laughed so hard. So I have something that will, to tell you that will change your life. I just got a red light. What does that mean? Oh, rats, okay. So the love guru, Mike Myers, said, in order to be enlightened, we have to lighten up. That's the biggest thing today. And that's the idea, the masculine face of God. The big idea today is for us to lighten up. You know, we have the serenity prayer. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. The short version is lighten up. That's the short version. So I have no fear of yesterday. I don't anticipate tomorrow with anything other than enthusiastic expectation. Everything good in life creates my future. There is newness and the promise of happiness, as I said, is a given because I am at choice. And from this day forward, with my desires fulfilled, with my love and life well lived, this is all part and parcel of the creative process. Very necessary to have the masculine face of God, the feminine face of God, so that the results are exactly what we want them to be. All we can ever say at the end of any day or any journey is, I've done my best, knowing with God all things are possible. Will you join me in consciousness, please? And breathe in to the beauty of this moment, the good that God is, the good that I am, because I know that since I have been created in the image and likeness of God, and I am God's means to be, because as I said, that God so loved itself, it needed form to express, and it expresses as me and as everyone here today. As I speak this in the first person, I recognize that when the great teacher Jesus said, I am the light of the world, I am is God. God is the light of the world, and God is the light of the world by means of me. And so today I go out into my world, and I project out the goodness, the Godness that is within me. And by doing so, I know that life takes on a brand new meaning. Life takes on a whole different perspective. Because I know that I am here by right of consciousness. I am here by divine appointment. And the gifts that I have get to be shared with the rest of the world. And the gift that I give today is one of encouragement. Because as I know for each one of us, that our mission, our vision, and our passion for this world is to make a difference. And I know that we are each making that difference today. And so for this, I'm truly, truly blessed, as we all are. And I joyfully give thanks for this opportunity to know this truthfully and completely, as together we say, and so it is.
as many churches, as many temples, as many mosques. My father's chapel has many doorways. Don't try to tell me some doors are locked. My father's house has so many mansions with many dwellings and many rooms. My father's house has so many mansions. Who gets to live where? I can't presume. My father's fields had beautiful gardens with many vineyards and many vines. Yeah, yeah, yeah. My father's fields had so many who labor, and those who labor will drink his wine. Chapel has many benches where weary strangers may rest their feet, and all there are welcome, all of his children. Don't need an usher, I can find my own seat. Thank you.
Such wonderful music. Wonderful music. And thank you so much, Reverend Maureen. That was a wonderful talk. We really appreciate it. Well, I'd like to call up our ushers for the offertory. So we have Chloe.
Spirit gives through me, Spirit receives through me, Spirit lives and breathes through me. Spirit lives and breathes through me. Spirit gives through me, Spirit receives through me, Spirit lives and breathes through me. Oh, Spirit lives and breathes through me.
together we say.
So it is.
And now we have our kids coming in, wherever they are. Are they out there? Good morning. So, usually we have the, I don't know if I can get this off. It's not. We usually have, you tell us what's been going on.
Why don't you stand up and tell them who you are?
I am Bella.
Hello.
We made something for Father's Day.
And we talked about
We talked about how we were what makes a father. And also we were talking about how we can be girls, like telling advice.
Thank you.
and elevate people. Yep.
Okay. Okay, so I also was showing a trick with the fidget spinner bouncing it on my nose.
Yes, we needed it. Okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right, Bella.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Bella. All right, so I am going to treat us out, and with any visiting ministers or practitioners or any practitioners gather around the room. As I speak my word in first person for each and every person here this morning, as I declare right here, right now, there's now and always only one mind, one spirit, one power, everywhere present. It's the Creator. It creates all. And I am a unique individualization of that spirit, that power. I am God in action, spirit, having a human experience. I am joyful knowing that this divine power within me guides, directs, and supports me in all I do today. And right here, right now, I declare that I am aware of my immediate oneness with Spirit, and I know the activity of God is within me. I know that God is all there is, that is the animating force of all that is. And I choose to be all that I can be, to be successful, that all that I undertake today and in the days ahead. And I take a deep breath and I breathe in the light, the love, and the joy of Spirit, and I see this positive energy and joy filling my body, my family, my creative expression, this congregation, all of my world. And I choose to live in joy, peace, and freedom, and to know that today is perfect in every way. I know that all is well, I'm safe, I'm healthy, I'm prosperous. I love myself. I send that love, and I bring that joy to others. And I gratefully receive and give thanks for the wonders of life, for this meeting today, for the congregation, for the wonderful talk by Reverend Maureen, the wonderful music by Ken and his group, and more. And I release my word into the universe, knowing it is already so. And together we say, so it is.
Please stand for the peace song. One, two, three, four, five, six. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
Really want to play fast?